got my friend, Marcelo Colacilli. He's has a company called Red Scorpion LED. I was covering NAB a few years ago, and we were walking around the halls, and I looked up and said, what the hell is that? It was so bright. It was just up on a wall, and that I went over to check it out. He wasn't on our schedule, and I thought it was such interesting technology that we decided to do an interview with Marcelo. And lo and behold, he became a sponsor of DCS.
That's right.
And he has a background as a gaffer. He's been a cinematographer lately, and you're going to see some really bright lights now. You tell us about them. I'll hold the mic for you.
Sure. Okay, well, this is the Red Scorpion LEDs. We're attempting to do something a little bit different. You saw a lot of really outstanding LED technology today. We're sort of on the higher spectrum. We're trying to get up there with the 4K HMIs, the 6Ks, the 12Ks, and the 18Ks. Mostly for daylight use, outside, night scenes, the bigger stuff. We're doing several things. One, we're really focusing on getting the most out of the LED, the most power out of them without really overdriving them. And we're taking that light and we're focusing it and amplifying it through true optics. So we're using refracted optics to really focus that light and get the maximum distance, maximum throw out of it. So that's really our focus. Right now we're making them in daylight. We can make them in tungsten, but they would have to be special ordered. We're just focusing on daylight. They're submergible, so they're fully submergible. You can submerge them in water. That means you can leave them out in the rain, get them completely soaked, pressure wash them. They're pretty durable. Flicker-free at all speeds. And the other thing that we're doing that's kind of unique is because we are using optics, we're using neodymium magnets to attach and detach the lens strips. So we make these lenses everywhere from 10 degrees to 90 degrees and all the different lenses in between. So this enables you to change the shape of the light without necessarily having to diffuse it. The other thing it enables you to do is to mix match them. So if you need that light to give you a certain amount of throw and a certain amount of distance, you can do that by choosing the different array of lenses that you're going to put on the light. And they just snap on, snap off because the light stays relatively cool. You don't need gloves to do this. It just barely gets warm. And
let's fire it up.
Okay, this is our 1K. This is the equivalent. It's actually a little bit brighter than my 4K par. And one thing that surprised me is that I get a little bit better throw than the 1K HMI, the 4K HMI par. This is a 1K. We also make a 2K and a 4K, which is brighter than an 18K. They are all designed to operate off of house power, so 20 amp circuits. You can plug two of these lights into a 20 amp circuit. And in the 2K, you can only use one per circuit. And in the 4K, what we've done is we've staggered the modules. So you plug in one side of the light into one circuit, and the other side into the light to the other circuit, so you can still operate it off house powers or off of putt-putts. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and fire this up.
Better spin it away from the camera.
There we go. So, as you can see, it has tremendous throw. We've had this on top of condors, and this is not really our biggest light, but we've had this on top of condors, we've had it on top of hillsides, lit entire valleys with it.
Let's be patriotic. Shoot the flag.
We'll just leave it up there. This is a 10-degree lens. We're also working on one that's a 5-degree lens. We don't have it quite figured out yet, but we're working on it, which would be really tighter than this. And right now we're making, our widest lens is 90 degrees.
What's the weight?
This one is relatively heavy. Now, last year I came up here and I said, well, these are prototypes, you know, so we're still working on certain things, and we were weeks away from releasing our production line. I did a very unpopular thing, and I put a stop to it because of new emerging technology allowed us to create a much more efficient light, much better color, because initially the idea was we sacrificed a little bit of the color and the light quality to get the optimum intensity. We found that with the new technology, that's no longer necessary. We can get a CRI of 95, get the same amount of intensity, if not even a little bit better. And we've been able to reduce the weight by 50% and the size by 50%. So what you're looking at right here, this is our 1K. The production model will be actually a 2K in this size. So it'll be twice as bright, a little bit thinner, a little bit lighter.
Will it take twice as much power?
It'll be a 20 amp circuit to drive it. The 1K is going to be a one-man light. It's going to be a lot smaller. It's going to be less than half the size. It's going to have the same, if not more, output. And this one weighs close to 100 pounds, so it's a heavy light. The 1K, the production model, is probably going to be more like a 50-pound light. So that's a one-man light all along. The 2K will be probably a two-man light. I might be able to handle it, but you know, it's a heavy light. So, what else can I tell you about it?
Let's ask some questions. What's the HMI equivalent of this light, would you say?
This one here, which is a prototype, is just a little over a 4K HMI par. And like I said, we found that, I found, surprisingly, that it has slightly better throw. So the further I got away from the par, I had a more dramatic drop than I did with this. I'm not really sure why. I think it might have to do with just the multiple optics. But it has a tremendous amount of throw, tremendous distance.
Thank you,
Okay.
Marcelo.
You're very welcome.
And I have used these on a movie, and really, really pleased, very dependable, and lots of punch, as you can see.